From NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. Senators are reviewing the government funding bill they were sent by the House last week. The measure blocks funding for the Affordable Care Act. The Senate's likely to pull that provision out and return the funding bill to the House. There probably won't be much time before the October 1st deadline when the government faces a partial shutdown. There's a different fiscal problem around the corner. The U.S. reaches its debt ceiling in a few weeks, and the Treasury Department is asking lawmakers to increase the country's borrowing authority. Some Republican lawmakers are talking about lifting the debt ceiling, but only if Obamacare is defunded. Iran's new president has been making the rounds on American media, saying he's ready to negotiate over Iran's nuclear program. He hopes for a deal in 3 to 6 months. NPR's Michelle Kellerman reports diplomacy kicks into high gear at the UN today.
Secretary of State John Kerry will join his counterparts from other world powers in a meeting with Iranian Foreign Minister Jawad Zarif. U.S. officials have tried to temper expectations for this initial but rare encounter, but Iran's new president, Hassan Rouhani, told the Washington Post that he wants negotiations to move quickly. The shorter it is, the more beneficial it is to everyone, he's quoted as saying. The new Iranian president wants to see sanctions eased on his country, but insists Iran has the right to enrich uranium, which he says is part of a peaceful nuclear program. The U.S. and its allies suspect Iran is trying to build a nuclear bomb. Michelle Kellerman, NPR News, New York.
Russia says it's willing to help guard Syria's chemical weapons sites while experts dismantle the country's stockpiles. NPR's Corey Flintoff reports Moscow appears to be closer to taking a boots-on-the-ground role in Syria.
Last week, Russia's foreign minister suggested that Russia might be willing to have military observers monitor the sites where Syria's poison weapons would be gathered and destroyed. The latest announcement from Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov seems to go further. He said Russia will be willing to help in guarding the facilities where the work is carried out. It wasn't immediately clear how much of a military presence Russia might be willing to provide. Arms control experts say it will be difficult to destroy Syria's chemical arsenal in the midst of a fierce civil war. Corey Flintoff, NPR News, Moscow.
The government has left unchanged its estimate on U.S. economic growth. It estimated the gross domestic product grew 2.5% in the second quarter. Economist Hugh Johnson says the number's good, but there is some underlying weakness.
Spending by individuals has been pretty soft, pretty subdued in the second quarter. We hope that that's going to increase a little bit in the third quarter and the fourth quarter.
Consumer spending drives more than two-thirds of the U.S. economy. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials are up 87 points at 15,360. This is NPR. 350 people are dead in the earthquake in Pakistan's western Baluchistan province. Hundreds are hurt. NPR's Abdul Sattar reports from Islamabad that attacks from local Baluch insurgents are making rescues more difficult.
Thousands of survivors are still waiting for help because of poor communication in the region and fears of attack by Baloch militants who have been battling the government for years for a separate homeland. The insurgents have warned the army against visiting the affected areas. On Thursday, the chairman of country's top body for disaster management escaped an attack by insurgents. The government says more than 300,000 people are homeless after their mostly mud houses collapsed in the earthquake and aftershocks. Pakistan has yet to respond to offers of relief by donor agencies. A number of injured have been shifted to other parts of Pakistan because the affected areas are without required medical facilities. Abdul Sattar, NPR News, Islamabad.
The International War Crimes Court in The Hague has upheld the war crimes conviction of former Liberian leader Charles Taylor. He was sentenced to 50 years in prison for planning and helping rebels in neighboring Sierra Leone carry out brutal war crimes. These included torture, rape, murder, and the use of child soldiers. Some victims had their limbs hacked off. The Environmental Protection Agency and Hawaiian health officials will jointly investigate the huge molasses spill in Honolulu's harbor. Nearly 250,000 gallons of molasses oozed into the harbor this month after a pipe broke. Thousands of fish and other marine life died. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News in Washington.